Improving the energy efficiency of your community building will help you save energy, reduce bills, and make it more environmentally friendly. Improving the fabric of your building, that's the materials that your building is made from, can make a huge difference, but it's important to choose the right measures. Community buildings come in all shapes and sizes. The more you can understand about the fabric and structure of your building, the more likely you are to make good decisions about measures you install, such as insulation and draught-proofing. In this video, we'll be looking at the different options and where to start when it comes to making fabric improvements to your building. But first, context is key. Before considering any interventions, we encourage you to start from a position of knowledge. Try to gather as much data about your building as possible, taking a holistic whole building approach. You could start by carrying out a walk-around building audit to help you understand things like the general building condition, ventilation, heating, lighting, and water use. You'll also want to consider if your building is listed or in a conservation area, as this may affect the changes that you can make. You can use CSE's Community Building Audit to help you start gathering all this information. We encourage you to include the people that use the building in this process. This will help you get a good understanding of how the building is used on a day-to-day basis. This will help you tailor your improvements to how it is used on a regular basis and mean your changes will have the most practical impact. It's essential to repair and fix any maintenance issues before you install any measures. For example, installing insulation on a damp wall could make the damp problem worse. So look out for key areas of disrepair. This could be damp, moisture buildup, broken or leaking gutters, or cracks in the walls. If you find these issues, be sure to engage with a trained and fully competent contractor to find ways to address them. It's a good idea to find out when your community building was built, as this can give you a lot of information about its construction. If your building was built before 1945, it might be considered a traditional building. If so, it's likely to have solid walls made with materials like stone, brick, and lime mortar. If your community building is more modern, it may have cavity walls. This is where there is a void between the inside and outside wall. Understanding what type of walls your community building has is key to choosing the appropriate measures to make it more energy efficient. Insulation can improve the efficiency of your building by reducing the heat loss through your walls, roof, or floor. If you're considering installing insulation, be sure to engage with a trained and competent assessor or surveyor to understand your options. This will ensure the long-term sustainability of your building is considered. Adding insulation will change how heat and moisture move through a building, so be aware that insulation may not always be appropriate. Ensure your building is dry before installing, and remember, maintenance is key. Different insulation materials deal with moisture in different ways. It's worth considering which materials are most suitable for your building and which fall within your aims and budget. If it is deemed suitable by a competent surveyor or assessor, cavity walls can be filled with insulation. You'll want to make sure that your insulation does not create a bridge of moisture between your outer and inner walls, particularly if your building is exposed to wind-driven rain. Not all cavity walls will be suitable for insulation, so it's important to ensure a surveyor fully understands the suitability of this measure before continuing. We recommend considering this option with care. If cavity wall isn't an option, you could consider solid wall insulation. This may be suitable for a variety of wall types, such as brick, stone, steel framed, and concrete construction. Depending on the circumstances, walls can be insulated internally, i.e. from the inside, and externally, i.e. from the outside. Both are quite significant undertakings in terms of cost and disruption, and could be considered higher risk projects. But, if suitable for your community buildings, they can make a big difference to your building's energy efficiency. If you're looking to install roof insulation, you need to ensure that your roof is in good condition and dry. It's important that there is good cross ventilation in your loft to avoid moisture buildup. An installer should make sure the loft insulation has full coverage to avoid creating cold spots, so don't forget to cover the loft hatch. Depending on the structure of the roof, there will be a number of considerations. Be sure an installer understands this and conducts a thorough survey first. You can also reduce heat loss by improving your windows and doors, but you might not need to remove or replace anything. Repairing or renovating windows or doors can make a big difference, especially if they are made of wood. This could be a combination of repairs, adding secondary glazing, or draught-proofing. Don't forget that curtains and shutters are effective at reducing heat loss too, and are often much cheaper options. Draught-proofing is one of the cheapest and least disruptive ways to improve the energy efficiency of your building. You can make some small DIY improvements to windows and doors, such as with seals. Make sure there is adequate ventilation if you do this. This is to avoid problems with damp and mould and to prevent poor air quality for the users of your building. Reducing a building's heat loss usually means trapping warmer air inside the building. This can cause problems with air quality, damp and mould. So it's important to make sure you have adequate ventilation methods when installing things like draught-proofing and insulation. It's a great idea to monitor moisture levels in your community building. This may help you identify where areas of damp or moisture buildup are occurring, so you can ensure they are dry and repaired before installing new measures. You can also monitor air quality. This can tell you whether the air quality in your community building is safe for your occupants and help you understand whether you have adequate ventilation. Simple temperature monitoring can help identify any areas that are losing lots of heat, therefore identifying priorities for repair or improvements. These kinds of monitoring can help you track your progress and see how effective your improvements have been. Start from a position of knowledge. Begin by gathering as much data as you can about your community building. Fix any maintenance problems before you make any alterations to the fabric of your building. Engage with your building users throughout the process. Finally, engage with trained and competent professionals by seeking reviews, checking their past works, and that they fully understand the needs of your community building.